Oh, there's the fish tank. Let's see here. All right, that's better. And let me get the hair out of my eyes. Now I'm looking professional. How's everybody doing? I am finally kind of turning the corner on the infection I had. I don't know. I probably still look a little haggard, but and I am feeling a lot better. Got the they took the teeth out that started the infection. I think I can't even remember what I told you guys, but just to re-summarize real quick for those of you who've asked, which has been overwhelmingly kind. Thank you so much, you guys. The support and the super chats and the well wishes, and even a couple people gave me cards. I mean, I haven't had my close real life friends have a showing that was that thoughtful and the kind things that were said in a while. I have a close knit group of friends, and we talk once in a while, but I haven't had an extended group in a long time, and I feel like this channel really has kind of become that over the last few years. And so thank you. And I try to do the same when I see someone struggling that we know in the fish tube community, as it were. But it really hit home again how much it helps you recover when you feel like a positive, community energy right back at you. So I know it's not my normal day to stream, but yesterday I was still just not doing well health-wise, and today I felt like I could do it, and instead of not doing one altogether, I wanted to get one in. So let's see who's in here. Let's see who's coming in. Today we're going to be talking about Nano, because we can't say Snow White and the Seven Blanks. That word that starts with a D, that is actually a legitimate word, and it's part of how we classify those fish. It is now YouTube flags it and demonetizes everything. So we're going to call them Nano Cichlids. And by that, I mean cichlids under 3 inches. The male doesn't exceed about 3 inches max growing. But yeah, so let's see here. We've got Mridgel, how's it going? Dragon Lair. Monster Key Portal, Leslie's Aquatics, Mary Page, my love, Pete, what's going on down under? Zelf, hello. Third Coast Aquatics, hello. Is that the Gulf Coast? Is that the Third Coast? Is that an expression that I don't know? Is that the Great Lakes? Pumpkin King, what's going on? Thomas, Greg, Isabel, hello. How are you, my dear? Hayden, hello. And let's see here. Yeah, so we've got a reminder. Thank you so much, Mridgel, saying the audio video is good. And also, thanks for sharing the link to both the Facebook group, which if you guys want to share pictures, you ever have a problem or a question and you need help from the group, there's a lot of us in here. There's, I think, 700 people or so in the Facebook group for this channel, and there's kind of an active core, Mridgel being one of our very best and brightest, who will help everybody, if you have issues going on. So that's a resource you can use if you use Facebook. If you don't, then I guess this is your resource, as well as messaging me. And of course, anybody else. Jess, how's it going? Mains, Tails, Fur, and Fins, how are you feeling? I hope you're doing better. John McKenzie, what's going on? Blake's Aquatics, Muppet, Raphael Swift, hello. Mridgel is also mentioned. If you want to grab my attention today during the chat, yeah, do the @ symbol and then the secret history living in. And then, no, your aquarium, that stuff. Konstantinos Koratoras. I like that. Leah Jet, hello, thank you so much. Carolyn, hello, how are you this fine evening? Aristotle, hello. Fatherfish, hello. Father Fish, I have not been able to wake myself up for the world. The last week I've been just tired and out of it. I'll probably try to make because it's 5 or 6 a.m. my time when you're on. Uh, Fish and Floral, hello, welcome. Let's see. All right, I think I'm pretty much caught up. David Rayner, Greg the Guppy Guy, what's going on? Yeah. So, I found an incredible resource on Jeff's Tanks. Hello. An incredible resource on all this stuff. But before we jump into it, because we always handle unresolved business and whatnot first, I wanted to share with you guys my first step of planning for moving and how I want to set up the new fish racks. So all right, so basically I have graph paper here, and the wall is 7.9 or 7 feet 9 inches tall. I made each of the squares 4 inches, and so that way half a square is 2 inches, and that pretty much lets me plan out any size aquarium. And so this ends up being the 6 foot mark, I think, right here. But I was thinking about doing this for each of the 2 8-foot walls, which would be a 10, a 10, a 10, 20 long, 20 long, 20 long, and actually I measured that wrong, so they actually fit with 2 inches in between each one. And then a 40 breeder, a 40 breeder, and then a 20 tall in the center. So I could do that, and that would fit very snugly in there with 2 inches or an inch between each thing. You have to remember there's rims, there's also cords and things like that. Yeah, so basically what I did is on the graph paper then is I planned out all the different size tanks I have, and the outer layer is what counted. I just was doing this in my own head to give it some 3D effect. But I think I'm going to pick up at the $1 per gallon sale, which is going the rest of the week. I think I'm going to get a 55 gallon, and between this tank and the 55, or maybe I'll just go to a 75 gallon, that will be at the new house, kind of the show tank. I mean, this tank is definitely, obviously I'll clean it up, and I think a rescape is in order, but there'll be so many things going on that, I don't know. So since we were talking about Nano Cichlids just while he's here, or is it the he? Is it the he? Yes, this is the he. This is the she. She's all colorful for spawning. These are African, though, so we won't include them, but these are Nanochromis. And they are the Nanochromis splendens, and the males, the way you can tell them is they have red piping that's really, really, really delicate to see on the lower half of their tail, whereas the females have a little more eyeshadow and a little bit darker black on their tails. But they're a great one. Another one, just while we're up here, is the Pelvicochromis tinniatus, or Poulter, which are the crebensis. These are an albino pair here, and they're actually a codominant albino and leucistic pair, and I'm wondering if maybe, hopefully, they actually had babies. I don't know. They're guarding this little area pretty closely, and they're also spitting out rocks, and they've moved things, and I don't know. So we'll see. But how do I train my fish to fly in the air? Well, I don't know. They just do it. I had some what were they? Oh, the rainbows I had to move because they were jumping even with this much, like 6 inches of rim on there. I still had to jump all the way out, so I had to move them to a tank that I can put a lid on. So they're in a 20 long for now, the Radnocentris. But other business that we were going to finish up, here he comes, coming out. These are a really neat fish that isn't super common in the hobby right now, but they should be because they're pretty easy to take care of, and they're just really pretty. They don't require any of the hard water requirements that the Riff Lakes generally kind of require from African small cichlid, well, any cichlids. Those are Congo River and in Niger, and a few other places, Cameroon, Ivory Coast or Cote d'Ivoire. Zelf says, why keep the smaller tanks? Why not just keep 20 gallons as your smallest tank since you have the space and bigger tanks? I think that one is, I have the tanks and I have them for now, and it may change over time. But two is, I like having small tanks like 10 gallons and fives and even 2.5s, because it's plenty of room for either shrimp or small nanofish or a pair of guppies. If I'm just doing breeding work, then I can have them in those tanks and keep them more minimal, less planted maintenance work and less community, and I can have them breeding more for profit and then move them into the bigger or community tanks. Now, this is a consortus. This is Nanochromis consortus. This is a male. You can see the red and the blue stripes are real prominent on him. And these males actually, they'll color up with brighter colors, but the male kind of likes digging holes and hiding on the edge of like a big rock. There's a big rock back there, and they'll poke their head up over the edge, and they can bend their head, swivel it, almost like they're resting their chin on, like, you know, something. So it's kind of fun to watch them. They're like little meerkats or golfers. And then there's those other ones. So they're very similar looking. It's just this one has a little bit less color on the body and a little longer of a body. And then there goes the other species. They're a little territorial when they're spawning and stuff, but that's what leads me to believe that they've kind of paired off. They just haven't spawned as far as that I've seen any success. But again, those are African, and we're going to be looking at South Americans today. But yeah, so back to this real quick and any of your questions, and then we'll jump in. We're going to look at my South Americans and just some general info on keeping them. And then we're going to look at some of the amazing rare ones, some of the ones you maybe haven't heard of, and all that stuff. David, this house isn't for sale. We've been renting here. So this is going to be our first house that we move into. So, and it only has 2 bedrooms and a den. So right now I'm looking at a fish den that's like got 2 8-foot by 7.9 or 7'9" walls. They're kind of big square walls, actually. And then also there's a bedroom, the guest bedroom. If I were to take it over like I've done in the guest bedroom of this house, then I would be able to have a 12-foot wall and a 10-foot wall, which would be really nice. And I'm trying to convince my wife that that would be a better place to go. But yeah, so in any case, the thing that I'm going to do next with these is I will actually cut out, you know, the floor plan, and with harder paper then trace the grid paper. And then what I'll do is, you know, so say I have a tank here, like a so here's a foot. So say I have a 1 foot or 12-inch tank by 8-inch. So like a little, this would be like a 2-gallon kind of, yeah, a 2-gallon, exactly 2 gallons. So then to literally make it work in 3D, what I would do is I would have the height of 6 inches or whatever it is. I don't know off the top of my head. And then, or I guess it'd be like this. And then I would cut that shape out and fold it. And then I would have, you know, the 2.5 gallon, I guess it is, thing, and you can just tape it here and here as these get folded up into a little box. And then I can actually set it there and account for, you know, spaces and everything and the 3D-ness of it, because you do not want to move heavy tanks. And the dollar per gallon sale makes it so that right now it's really worth planning out like what I want to do there. I feel like my hair is poofed out. I'm sorry, guys. I am such a mess. But yeah, so I feel like it's worth doing that if I can weather that storm. We are moving on the 25th of February is the official move date. However, sorry guys, it's gonna get close for a sec because we're going downstairs and I had to grab a laptop and a tripod and other stuff. So just hang tight here. We'll go this way. But yeah, so on the 25th of February is the official day that we'll move in. As of now, if nothing goes wrong, we have paid our deposit or our down payment and our earnest money, and we've had an inspection, and so we're clipping along at a good pace. Let me figure out where I'm gonna set things. All right, guys. Do 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 do. Yeah, the dollar per gallon sale is only till the end of this month, so that's why I'm doing that little dollhouse / diorama cutout thing, is so that I can plan that, so that I know how much space I'm dealing with. By the way, I moved some of the gobies in here, and they've colored up a little bit better. The cobalt blue ones have colored up a little bit better. We are renting this house for an extra 2 weeks, but I mean, rent is $2,400 plus utilities a month here, so like an extra month is really expensive. So I did pay for an extra half month. So we've got an extra 2 weeks plus the end of 3 days. So we've got 17 days to move, which is fine. We're only moving about 20 or 25 minutes away, even if you're in a slow truck. So this is the first little fish we'll look at. I know there's some algae growing in here, but don't worry, we have a whole crew that's working on it. Now these two are a great example of kind of the archetypal body. So most of your nano, we're going to call them that, remember, because I can't say Snow White and the 7 D words because YouTube will demonetize. Speaking of D words. Oh, thank you, Pumpkin King, for joining. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Also, members, if you feel like you're not getting enough something out of me, just let me know too. Like I wanna be creating enough. This is gonna be kind of a crazy month just because I'm moving, but hopefully we'll have way more space for ponds and for like koi, goldfish, native fish. I really hope to work with more of that stuff now that we'll have a house. And 9,000, we got 1/3 of an acre in the backyard. And ideally I want to build a fish room, a real, with the drain in the floor, you know, all planned out for it. About a 300 or 400 square foot one, ideally. And there's room for it and everything. So this is a Panduro apistogramma, and that was a female that just cruised by. By the way, yeah, the little gobies here. This is a Palawan riffle goby. They love sitting on these little pads, and they just eat the algae. They just like reel in the green algae, which is great. Gotta love it. Oh, thank you so much, Isabel. I really appreciate it. For the dollar per gallon sale, thank you. That will help. I think, yeah, for sure I'm going to get another 40 breeder. I mean, I am tempted to, I would if I, depending on which room it is, I would like to actually do about 10 of the 20 longs and put them the lengthwise way for all my breeding needs. And then I wouldn't ever have to sweat about grow out and breeding for the scale that I usually like to manage. I understand some fish rooms, they need way more. So then when we're gonna look at another South American cichlid, right here, this little guy, this is an apistogramma banshee. So with this, I'll definitely be filming the move and some of the processes of how to pack up the tanks and things. You'll probably see when I mess up and drop, you know, my rimless aquarium or whatever the hell happens. Because when you move, last live stream we got into it a bit, but when you move, you're going to lose some plants, you're going to lose some fish, things like shrimp, things like that, where you're going to drain the water all the way down to like here. and then sloshing around, and then you fill it up again, and hopefully their tap water is manageable and nice. I tested it with an API test kit, but I don't know what's in it as far as, you know, chemicals go. Turn. We want to see your beautiful profile. So this is a female banshee, and an apistogramma, also known as the Inca 50. And this body type is kind of the prototype body type, or quintessential, I'll say, body type of the apistogramma. Now, there are hundreds of them, including their variants. I think there's almost 400 now if you count all the domestic variants and stuff. But they are a really, really sweet fish. Yeah, the focus on him or on her is not good for some reason. The live stream, the color and focus is super washed out all the time. Here's those Hikari Danios. I moved them, and man, they are so colorful. They look like they're under a black light with the yellow and purple and orange on them. But in any case, so those are really my main apistos that I have right now. And again, here we go. Here's the Apisto Panduro. This is the male here. And you can see males are generally a little bigger, a little more colorful, and they generally have oh, my fingernails are dirty from digging in this tank earlier today. And they generally have, you know, the brighter color, whereas the mask, as we call it, is more common, or striping is more common for the females. So in this one, the female who's up there, she's got kind of like a ninja mask, or a raccoon stripe across her face. And a lot of times the females will have that down their body too. They're just more striped, more black or dark color in most of the species. Now, these ones are pretty much full grown. This guy's about 2 inches long, maybe almost 2 inches, and wild caught, just a really, really pretty fish. And just like Crebensis and things, all the cichlids, pretty much, other than maybe blue rams and, yeah, like Bolivian rams, German blue rams, things like that, I want to say take care of their young, which makes them such a joy to keep as a pet. Down here, we have another nano or mini cichlid, which is from South America, the Nano Cara. The Nano Caras, sorry, I know there's a lot of algae in the tank, but that's what they're eating, and they have babies. Everybody wants to know what the disc-like plants are. Those are Hydrocotyle verticillata, and the reason they usually only grow about like this, they're a pennywort plant. The reason they're growing like these and getting so big and crazy and Dr. Seuss-like is because they're actually they're in CO2, and they have 2 super bright lights on them right now. You can see the gobies eating his way across the landscape, and also the CPDs and the erythromicron and the hybrids of the two. Here's an erythromicron with the stripes, and then the CPD hybrids are these two right here, which have really bright orange fins, but that's kind of it. I mean, that's what really, that and their size. So most of these little mini cichlids, as a general rule, we'll kind of just go over their care. And most of them like acidic water. We're talking only about the South American nano cichlids. And we're going to be talking about the South American ones that are under 3 inches as adults, males. And really, most of them that I like are under 2 inches. So these are adults here, and this is a male. I wish he'd come out a little clearer. There's a female there. The male has the stripe on his side in this case, but he also has this beautiful green metallic scale coat on him. And we'll get rid of some of this moss out of the way so everyone can see the babies too, because right now they spawned recently and they have some babies, and I want to show those off too. as well. So I just kind of gave them some room to hide. Now, as with a lot of these fish, they have a hierarchy. So you want to keep males and females either in a colony style, which is generally 1 or 2 males and 2 to 5 females of ratio wise, or 1-on-1. And the reason to do that, I mean, the best way is to have a bunch of fish, let them do their thing, and you'll see which ones are pairing off when they're juvenile to young adult size. And then when they pair off, you'll know those two are the most compatible. Like, they naturally kind of were attracted to each other. Here, we're trying to get the male back out and front and center. And then once he's out, the babies will come out because mama knows that that's the key. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I know you're seeing everything upside down and you're like, what's going on? Sorry. Just moving the light. So hopefully we can see a little bit better. I don't know if that helped anything, though. All right. So most of these cichlids like acidic water. They really like... yeah, I'm hybridizing these, Daniel. They're already hybridized. So they're already... there's an erythromicron, and then there's CPDs. And then there's the mix. So the 2 mixed ones are the big orange ones. And then the erythromicron, obviously, has the stripe, and it's just a natural erythromicron caught from the wild. And then the little dots are the celestial pearls, but those aren't cichlids. Those are just danios. So let's focus on the cichlids today, the little cichlids. And so here, the male cichlid, you can see he's got that nice blue color. These are Aquarium cichlids. Jamie, yes, I am breeding them. They have babies currently in this tank right here. And I have videos on how to breed them also. So if you're curious about that with the other ones, then yeah. Now these Aquarium, these are basically dwarf. Oops, I said it. Probably get demonetized. But Aquarium, these are like nano Aquarium. And I actually thought I was getting all of the man, these guys, I thought they were peaceful. These Burmese border loach, multi-stripe, I won't say the word again, the D word again, border loaches, but they're not. They are really, they eat eggs like there's no tomorrow, and they hunt fry, so I'm getting them out of here. There's one back in here still, I guess. But I'd never seen that behavior until it was just the 2 species in here. I mean, I guess there's some little guys. I can't say the D word because YouTube will not show this video in search results. I mean, they'll demonetize it, and I don't care about that much. But it won't show up in search results, nor will it be recommended to my subscribers even if it gets demonetized like that. So yeah. All right, let's find the babies. Everybody loves the babies. So with these fish, though, they like acidic water. They like planted water. And I know it's the dumbest thing ever. I've had to appeal it, and every time they let me appeal it, but they're like, you need to maybe think of a different word because we're gonna have this problem reoccurring. Yeah, wharf, like Star Trek. These are wharf cichlids. So there's the male. He can colony breed. Right now there are 3, maybe 4 female adults in here, and they are basically in different corners. There's one behind the rock over here. There's one right here. There's another one who lives in this cave system here. And then the gal with the babies is right here. So yeah, let's try to find some of the babies. Let's see if we can chase them from this log. I'm kind of worried that the loaches got to him because last night I was watching it and it was brutal. They were really, really just going at the baby. And the babies have been in here for 4 weeks. So I was really stressed about it. There comes a baby. So there comes a baby. They've got all this mulm and algae. remember, this is a newer tank. We have a little bit of cyanobacteria building up, but actually the plecos have been eating it just kind of inadvertently, I think. But that is what I love about these small wharf cichlids, is that when the babies, the parents interact with them, so they protect the brood once they have the babies. This, like, once he makes the babies, he will protect the area. Now, since he has multiple females and he has another one in here, who may or may not have eggs or new babies, the one in here who had babies 3 weeks ago, she's no longer the priority. I'm going to see if we can see her because she's got different markings. And here comes another baby. Come on, gal. Let's see. Can we get her to come this way? So here's her markings. If you could see that, I won't torture her. But she brought her babies with her. And there's some new research. We'll look around the side real quick, too. But there's some new research that says that these little cichlids, they actually use their pectoral fins as a way to communicate with the babies. So when they tell the babies, come with me, or stay, or hide, or it's okay, you can go forage, what they're doing is they're using those front pectoral fins, and they have two of them, and they can either have them still, going counterclockwise or clockwise, and they can do that with each one. So she can have one still, one clockwise, one still, one counterclockwise, both still, both counterclockwise, both clockwise, or both doing different things. And so she's a little bit colorful still, but she gets dark black with metallic blue. And the babies, I saw some cruising around all the way in the corner here, but they're just now starting to get their look. And most of these little cichlids, the babies start off as little fry with yolk on their belly, and then they get bigger, and then they start turning from the little kind of tadpole looking babies into babies that have stripes going up and down on their side. Now, this is true with Crensis also true with German rams. And so it's something that seems to be both in the old and new world, which would suggest at least 65 million years of evolution. Now, you might have seen a little white bug just jump or jitter across the tank, and this is like the secret, basically, to getting these guys to spawn well, is that they are able to eat all this algae and stuff that people try to get rid of. This is what is making them thrive in this tank. It's a new tank. It exploded full of life because it's got an active substrate. Even though it's capped by sand, they've kind of dug into the sand. I was surprised. They've dug deeper than they are long. So in some cases, they've dug down into the sand all the way to like here. So kind of interesting in that respect. I did not expect them to do that. But they do. And these are the Nanocara anomali, or anomala. And, oh, there goes the baby. Did you guys see him? They're so cute. I just want to film him for a sec. Okay, here we go. I saw a baby, and then we'll move on to interesting ones. But let me finish telling you guys, Dragon Lair says, Alex, all the new evidence coming from studies in the wild, many say that many apistos are harem spawners, one male over a big territory with multiple females. You know, I think there's a lot to that, definitely, especially in a species-only tank. I think sometimes when it's not a species-only tank, they get confused, or maybe, I don't know if it's confused, but maybe they lose track or lose focus. They're too distracted trying to divert things away. But I've noticed, like with this Nanacara, he's forgotten for the most part about his babies over here. They're at size now that I mean, they could still easily be eaten. They're only a quarter inch, but they're starting to get their first set of markings. They're not just clear little fry anymore. And I have fed them. Truth be told, I have not fed them any sort of you know, a baby brine shrimp or newborn fish food formula or anything like that. All I've done is I've made an environment that does have sand or seed shrimp and lots of algae, lots of little copepods on the glass. You guys can probably see they look like watermarks, but it's actually biofilm. And on that biofilm, here's another female. Actually, this may be a sneaker male. So when harem spawning, the males one will color up and get big. It will definitely that was definitely another male. So we have another male, it appears, that's sneaking, and at some point he'll vie for rank with the other male. They'll fight over who's going to be in charge of the harems. But until then, he'll just kind of pretend to be a female and hang out and lay low. See, here we go again. She's chasing him off. And even though he will protect, like he will fight off loaches from his babies and things like that, he will also go eat his babies or bug her about the babies off and on. Not like he's going to eat them all usually, but he's not the best dad in the world. Or I should say, a lot of these cichlids, the males are there at first, and then they kind of leave the picture as the fish can survive on their own, or as one mother can kind of take care of them. So let's see if we can see the babies. There were like 30 of them, and now there's only maybe 10 scattered around, but some of them are starting to journey all the way across the tank on their own, and they're starting to hide in things. And so that's why I want to get the loaches out of there, because so here's mama. See how she's got the brown mottled stuff? And if you remember, I was able to remember which one she was because she had the injured gill plate that on one side, but it hasn't slowed her down one bit. Now, these fish tend to be a little bit prone to bacterial infections, unfortunately. A lot of the smaller cichlids do in South America. And part of the thought that I've read in that is that the bacteria just doesn't have a way to take a foothold in South America. When you have a tank that looks this planted, or this planted, like where a lot of these smaller cichlids want to live in a tank that is extremely planted. That's not true with a lot of the Africans, but that's really true with a lot of these guys. And they want the ability for their babies to be able to hide on rocks and wood and things like that, but they have tannins. They have the organic chemistry breaking down the carbonic acid, the nitric acid, all that kind of stuff gets broken down in their water. And so since it's the Amazon or the Orinoco, it's South American waters, it's a flooded forest. Very high in tannins. Has a low TDS though, not a lot of dissolved solids. It's not running fast through a lot of stone or picking up a ton of sediment that fully dissolves. It's mud that is technically not dissolved. It will fall out of solution rather quickly if you stop the water completely. So the muddy Mississippi or the muddy Amazon, just because it's like a mocha colored water, the TDS can still be pretty low. And in that case, these fish like that low TDS because it's all from either rainwater or water from the Andean mountains coming down from the snow melt and the glaciers there in Chile and in Argentina. and or Peru, sorry. And then the other thing is that the water kind of sits, and then there's the big monsoon essentially with the flash floods, and so that's why you want to keep your water nice and clean and clear. Then the caves, they do like caves. If you have artificial caves, they like them. However, mine have always preferred these angled shelves, I guess you'd call them. Like in here, this angle here, a lot of them, especially the open pit spawners like Acaras, like Nano Caras, they like that, and they like sand. However, Apistos don't need sand. Apistos can have whatever, soil or gravel, stone, whatever you want to put in there. And here's that male Panduro again. Man, the focus today is just so off on the live stream. It's really frustrating. So's the color. This fish is like neon radiant electric colors, and it's not showing up well. Like its tail's so pink it looks fake. And the cameras are clean and everything. So I don't know. Maybe it's throttling the bandwidth or something like that, because I was taking pictures earlier and it was all fine. But in any case, so the mom a lot of times will make a nest. The male in some of these species will also, but they are hunters of mostly benthic or small crustaceans and small fish. And see, he's eating, even in this tank, who knows what, something that's living in the algae. Could be seed shrimps or cyclops, or I have put blackworms in here. They need mostly meat, but yeah, the bigger the tank, definitely the more females you can have, as you're saying, Dragon Lair, for sure. Most Apistos, well, okay, so Mickey, most Apistos don't need sand to live and survive. There's some fish that really do. What? Here's the female sifting right now. So yes, they do sift feed, and in the wild, they like sand. It's very common, but they don't need it. So just like I'm saying, they can live at a neutral TDS and a not neutral, but a medium TDS and a neutral pH. They won't thrive. So if you want them to spawn, you're gonna want sandy areas, and you're gonna want a little bit of calcium, not a ton, and you're definitely gonna want a lower pH. Now, some of these fish will not breed unless the pH is like 4 or 4.5. See how he's eating the sand, like you guys were saying. However, when I have them in tanks without sand, I've also had them spawn still. But that being said, yeah, they don't need those conditions to live as fish. They do want those conditions if you're going to breed them. And I think the ledges are helpful because it kind of guards their little pit. So that's the main thing about them, is a lot of them, one, like warmer temperatures. Two, oh, there's that pain in the butt loach that I can't catch. They're so fast. And two, I would say if you really can, I would keep the pH, and I would get sand and leaf litter, have a pH of like 6 and a temperature of about, depending on the species, some do like it a little cooler, like some of the Peruvian ones from the mountains and streams, but most of them tend to like it, 78 will be fine. And then you can cool it down a little bit and drop the TDS from, say, 110 or 150, somewhere in there, down to like 70, and a lot of times that will help trigger them thinking it's the rainy season and into spawning. So, like I said, if you want them to have babies, same with these, same with the micro. Oh, here's a baby. Hold on. Same with all these little micro cichlids, and the focus is just awful. Great. Let's hop over to this site that I was talking about, though. Hold on. Ooh. Soon, complete chaos will reign as we have boxes everywhere in this house to move. So this website, I can post a link I'll pin it later. But this is Aqualog. It's a German website. But here, you can just read the word. I can say wharf instead. But this site literally has all of the common ones from the hobby and their info. And so I thought we just look through some of these and just kind of maybe, you know what? They say it so well that I'm gonna read the little blurb for you guys, and we will then we'll look at a couple oddballs. You know, some of the Apistos have these crazy mohawk looking, dorsals, and some are skinny, and then there's some that aren't Apistos, but they're still very, very similar fish. But that may change the way they spawn. But in here, like the micro geophagus or the rams, usually, like the butterfly rams, they generally only live a year to a year and a half, unfortunately. So some of these don't live so long, but that means they grow fast in that case. And there's also the experience of, you'll see, like, for instance, the Apisto cockatoides or opal or borelli, or triliniatus. Some of these species you'll see have many color variants in the wild and in the hobby. They've been kept pretty widespread since the early 1970s. Before that too, but that's kind of when they caught on as a popular fish. The rams and the a number of Apistos. You're probably going to see like the double red cockatoides, or the Elizabethae, the Hongslowii, Trifasciatus, or Triliniatus maybe. Those are kind of the ones you're going to see usually in America in the trade. You know, here, Apisto Super Red Agassizii. That's another one. Oh, thank you so much, Myrgel. Linked the hello Manuel, linked the website. It's basically kind of like a sub article, and you might need to put a translate thing on because it's a German website. But as you go through the tabs, so just before I read you kind of their blurb about this is an overview of all the under 3-inch cichlids in South America. I mean, look at some of them are very long, elongated, different. They're not like the normal, they're not an Apisto necessarily. Some of them are like the checkerboard cichlid. Some of them are very small, under an inch. And then there's these ones, which are more common to the hobby, which would be the German blue ram or Bolivian rams. You know, this is more of a wild kind here. But there's gold, there's electric blue, and then there's all sorts of cockatoides and other ones. But yeah, so that was just one of the pages. But look at this. So this is another small cichlid. This page, then you can go on it and you can click on the actual fish, and it's got, you know, the exact details. So the tank size, which this isn't always accurate. It's a general rule, remember that. But then the temperature, I would follow this closer. They're pretty good with their temperatures. The pH, see, it can be pretty wide, 5 to 7, 7 being neutral. But to get them to spawn, you're going to probably want it on the lower end of the spectrum generally. And then fish size, 8 to 9 centimeters for the male. So that's maybe 3 inches very max on this guy. I've never seen these fish in the hobby. But I'm sure they're around. And then food, some of these guys eat mostly algae. A lot of them have specialized. Others only eat, meat, basically. They only eat little shellfish, bugs, and insects, things like that. But their name is opercularis, so I wonder if it has anything to do with this flap, the operculum over their gill plate there. Just be interested. But then to get back, you just hit back. But let me read you guys this. You know, the male over here, of course, as soon as I don't film, he's fully colorful, and he's zooming all over the tank. The female zoom around with their babies. It drives me nuts trying to film fish sometimes. Uh, Whatever. You guys do your thing. I'm over you. So the Acaras, though, convict cichlids, Acaras, some of those are starting to get bigger. So the Nanocaras are kind of where I draw the line for size. But right here, we're going to break down all this info. So you guys probably can't read this with me, unfortunately, just because of the focus on everything. So just, I guess you can look at my face while I struggle to read. So the dwarf cichlid term is used for all. Said it again. The dwarf cichlid term is used for all of the cichlid family members whose maximum length does not exceed 10 centimeters, so about 3 inches. South America. In South America, the species genre Apistogramma, gramoides, Nanocara, Ivancara, Laeticara, Dichrosis, Crinicara, Bioticeus, and Microgeophagus are the main families. Yeah, we'll look up the checkerboard cichlid in a moment. Exceptions are the butterfly dwarf. I've screwed it up already. All right, well, this is unmonetized. No, it's not going to get listed. Whatever. So the dwarf cichlids for the microphagus, probably get in trouble for that word too. And the checkerboard cichlids for the dichrosis or crinicara, while apistogramma are also called apistos. So they don't have common names in the hobby so much. But the South American small cichlids comprise of 158 species in the hobby, all of which are readily maintained and bred in aquariums in North America or Europe. There are cultivated forms of these species as well, including up to 400 morphs of the apistos and the rams. These cultivated forms differ from natural and wild ones. Coloration is usually maximized, finnage size as well. All South American small cichlids practice some form of brood care. They guard and look after their eggs, and then they're wrigglers. So when they're first born, they have like a belly that's sticky, and they stick their babies to the wall of a cave, or to the ground, or to a leaf, or whatever. And then they defend that area. Now, some of them have really elaborate, really neat mating dances and, rituals where they make rings in the sand and they build mounds and they get any contrasting rocks. So if it's black sand, they'll look for white rocks and carry them over and try to show their mates that they amassed this stuff like a raven or something. And then in other cases, they'll just go into a cave and do their thing, and then the babies follow them in tow. So in wild South American cichlids, small ones, live mainly in the shallow waters, in the bank zones or the low flow zones of standing water, either part of a river, a sandbank cut, or a oxbow or oxbow lake. So definitely the rivers are where it's at. So they're getting that high O2, clean water generally, but then it's sitting a while. So that it's a little warmer than the normal water, and the oxygen can go down a bit from where some are. But now, some are more fragile. For instance, blue rams or wild Geophagus ramirezi, their Nano Geophagus ramirezi, are going to be more sensitive to that and to the pH and everything, whereas the other species like Nanocara, they may anomala, they may have, I don't know, they may just not care at all. They may be able to handle 500 nitrates part per million. So they're you need to kind of know what you're getting into between those things. But it says most of them, true aquatic plants, are normally absent from this habitat. However, grasses and submerged plants seasonally are generally very dense in their habitat and extend into the water. This, as well as leaf litter from forest canopy above, twigs, and other pieces of wood, give off tannins, microbiomes for bacteria, and small microfauna. So that's what we saw them foraging. They like a dirty tank as long as it's a healthy dirty tank. That mulm, that algae, those things. Don't get rid of it if you have those fish and you want them to breed. Just let those things build up, let them occur in your aquarium. Um, because they're found almost all over the entire continent of South America, they may vary quite a bit. Um, Geek Boy, thank you so much for the $5 super chats. It does not demonetize super chats, I don't believe, but they do take 30% and then you pay 30% taxes on the super chats. So, I mean, they kind of get a good cut no matter what. But what they really do is they don't promote the video to anyone after it's live. They stop recommending it, and then that hurts the amount of revenue you can get. Because I've tried to, for everyone, turn off all ads that are during any of my videos. They should all be off as far as I've selected, and I've made sure that a couple times. So if it's happening, it's YouTube and I can't do anything about it. But they should be off. You should only see them before or after a video. And I only have it selected for before. So I could also have it on after, but we'll see. So, yeah. What was the point of that? Oh, talking about demonetization. Yeah. So, yeah, Google is going broke. They need every penny. That's right. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Hey, Evo, good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here as well. All right, let's see here. So, species vary considerably. Species from the south, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and from higher altitudes such as Bolivia and Peru, and from shady jungles like eastern Peru, southern Peru, are not kept warm in the long term. They can live at, it's all Celsius in the article, but they can live down to about 66 degrees or 18, 19 Celsius in some of the cases, some of the Colombian and Venezuelan ones. However, the ones in the Orinoco, the ones in the floodplains in the Amazon, the Xingu River or Chengu River, they're going to like more like a 28 all the way up to 30 Celsius. So I guess 30 Celsius, you know, that's also because they're in the stagnant part of the water in a river sometimes. So it can get hot in the summer, but hopefully it's shaded. But that's why deforestation kicks up the silt, which clogs their gills, and it also causes it so that there isn't as much sand. It's silt, and when they sift through that, it's not the same. It has bacterial loads that are different than little teeny granules. The algae doesn't grow on silt the same. It's not. It doesn't impregnate like it does with sand, and so they're not getting what they want. But yeah, so 30 Celsius, we're talking 86 to 90 degrees, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius in the high end of the species down there. So kind of look up what they're into. Most of them will live about 76 to 78 will be fine. Like, Mickey M says, everyone, do not miss Norwegian Tom Christofferson's Episto webpage. Yes. Yeah, Tom has one of the best Episto sites ever. Info on localities and behaviors of new species. Yes, definitely. Very cool. Third Coast Aquatic says, hey, I lived in Peru for 4 years. I was surprised how cold it got. Granted, I was closer to the Chilean border, but still, yeah, it can get cold. Even if it's just for a few hours or while a rain squall comes in. I mean, in the Amazon too, it can get dark. I mean, dark, cold water can happen. In the wild species, usually over 80% of those species, of those 150 plus species, there's probably many that aren't discovered yet still, that look similar to others, but they like very soft water with an acidity between pH 4.5 and 5.5 in the wild. That being said, you can bring them up to neutral, all the way up to 7.5 pH, but they're going to do a lot better spawning if you can keep that pH down. Add catappa leaves, add maple leaves, whatever. Are there nano South American cichlids that will do well or even breed in cooler hard water? Yeah, there are. I mean, 66 degrees, 67 degrees Fahrenheit, that's pretty cool. And as far as the TDS goes, you can acclimate over time them to a lot of things. But, I mean, you're probably going to want to pick the species carefully. And off the top of my head, I honestly don't have that knowledge. I know rams can have a bit of minerality to the water as long as the TDS and the pH remain low. They don't mind the contents of that. So you can have them in 7.5 pH or 7.5 pH and 100 TDS. So most of that TDS is like calcium and carbon compounds. But if it were all sorts of things, iron and silt, things like that, then it could be an issue, you know. Yeah. So most of these fish, though, are not specialized feeders, unlike the African ones. Some are, but most will be able to live off of flake, granules, frozen or live foods. It's important to ensure that part of the aquarium substrate consists of some sort of siftable material, whether that's gravel, sand, eco-complete, or aqua soil that's a finer grain. But it says keep it down to at least a third of at least 3 millimeters as your biggest grain. That's what Mickey was saying about, you know, you want sand in there if you want them to breed. They're not going to die, but they like that. A shallow dish of sand, even if necessary, if you don't have it anywhere else, you can even put a shallow dish of sand in there, and that will help with their gut health. It'll also help with their digestion and chewing. If you're giving them live food and they're foraging algae and little crustaceans and copepods and stuff that naturally occurs in your tanks, it's saying that sand, a very fine grit sand, a silicate sand, or a quartzite sand, put that in the dish, then put the food in the dish, you know, a glass tray, like a petri dish, actually. That way when they eat it, if they're one of the specialized species, and this is, if you see it somewhere like Aquarium Co-op, or your local fish store, ask them. But I'm guessing for the most part, unless you have a very specialized fish store, it's not going to be some of the ones that like absolutely need that sand to eat. But there are a few species that do. They're just not necessarily as colorful. You'll see that they have different mouth shapes and different body shapes than the rams and the apistos and the acaras or convicts or, you know, geophagus species. But let's see here. Correct maintenance. Due to the small cichlids of South America having a high sensitivity to germs in the water and a high sensitivity to nitrogen, they need at least partial water changes weekly. I mean, if you have a anoxic filtration, like a BSB basket or something, there could be exceptions to that. But for most of us, Just take the note and shut up and take the note, as my director used to say when I was in place. Maintenance, ideally 1/3 to 2/3 of the water should be changed every week if you want them to breed. Refilling, conditioning with fresh water of the same chemistry that it had been. Get it ready in a bucket or something else with leaves, and getting that pH ready. Don't just use the pH up and down liquids, but like if you're going to put in 6.0 pH and your tap water's 7.5, get that ready ahead of time, and that'll really help. Then it doesn't need to acclimate, it doesn't mix out into some mix in between. But things like rams, especially the black rams, the Batman rams, the ones that have been specially bred and selectively bred, line bred, a lot of them are a little Habsburgy. They're a little inbred and crazy and sensitive on top of these natural sensitivities. At the same time, the difference in temperature between new water and aquarium water should also be as small as possible. Never more than about 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit, it says, or 2 to 3 Celsius. In aquarium with low fish density, minimal germ population, and good biological filtration. Water changes can be reduced to 1/5 of the total volume every 2 weeks, if you are not trying to breed them. So this is a very general all cichlids. So it's saying if you want them to breed 2/3 of the water to half the water once a week, and get it ready and set each time. And you're not going to want to let that water get stagnant in the sense of it doesn't have a biological filtration breaking it down. Now, if you have a good biotope tank and it's got black water, for instance, that's perfect. That acidity will kill those bacteria really well. You have to be careful if your nitrates get too high, and that's where the water changes come in, because at a certain level of acidity, which is around 5.5 to 6, they will actually stop being able, the bacteria will stop being able to convert the ammonia into nitrites, into nitrates. Mickey says, a lot of new Apisto species come from Colombia after the peace deal made between the FARC and the National Army. Yes, so they're new species got a D and NR. Let's see here. Actually have a link to info on Danikin's Apistos, Apistogramma Mitu, or Mitu. Let's see here. But in any case, yeah, so that's another thing is, like, for instance, there was, and since we're probably demonetized anyways, like Shining Path was another group out of Peru, or FARC in Colombia, or VAC or Vaca, or any of the cocaine cartels, 18th Street, La MA and MS-13, down in Honduras and Nicaragua, Guatemala and Mexico. A lot of these gangs and cartels have made a lot of these regions too dangerous to go in. So there are lots of little streams and lakes that we have not been in, well, since the 80s, and now we know more about categorizing these fish, and there's a good chance that maybe somebody named them once in, say, the 1700s and didn't really do a good job. They just named, like, oh, these are all Apistos. Blue Apisto, red Apisto, gave them 10 names. Then in the 1860s through the 1890s, there was this wave of European taxonomy that was very thorough and pretty good. Then there were the two Great Wars. There, all through the 20th century, has been intense strife in South America. And the Monroe Doctrine, in theory, sorry guys, my nose is itchy, says that America wants to stabilize the area. No foreign powers are going to control it. But for instance, Venezuela, that's another place that's gotten harder to get into again. And with the biodiversity dying out, yet more places that we've never explored as Westerners or as the pet trade or as biologists and marine biologists. As we get peace deals and things coming in, it's very similar to Africa or Shan and the Myanmar region, how we've got the panda loaches and we got the celestial pearl danios and we got the erythromicrons and the hold on guys, I'm trying to put my hat on with one hand. It's just not working. There we go. All right. You guys didn't have to see that. There we go. I look a little less crazy. Says the females guard the spawning sites for the brood in most of the species. Apistogramma, Apistogramoids, Dicrosis, Crenicara, and they are polygamous. So in the wild, a male maintains a harem, ideally, of several females, and they each have their own territory. Females will fight each other, especially in a Pistogramma family of fish. So having a place for them to hide and spawn onto or under leaves and wood is a great idea. The aquarium, these species can be kept in pairs, or with an excess of females. So however many females you want to males. You just don't want a bunch of males and like one female. They'll stress her out to death, and then they'll turn on each other, or they'll become subdominant males and they won't be colorful anyways, and it'll look like females, so you might as well get females. But it says that suitable decorated aquariums, it is possible, but a little more difficult. But you can keep several species of these fish together. You just want to group them by their temperature and diet, and what's the word? Their habits, the way they live. If they're sand sifters, then get a sand sifter. If they're an open spawner, maybe don't get another open water spawner. Maybe get one that lays on leaves. So that's where this site could come in handy for you guys. All South American mini cichlids are bottom-oriented fish, but generally in the wild they don't go below a meter deep. They spend most of their life in less than a quarter meter of water. So, I mean, they're really living in maybe a foot of water, 6 inches of water in the reeds that have flooded out, and they have their babies in there. They run their babies right up near the shore, and then as they get bigger, they come back out, and, they cruise here and there, kind of jumping from spot to spot, and as the water floods out, that's when those new babies kind of come rushing out and split up and make a break for new colonies places. South American cichlids are usually really tolerant towards other types of fish, so you can definitely put them in with dither fish that are small. So neon tetras, rasboras, guppies even, things like that, they're going to be pretty chill towards. Now, other bottom dwellers that may bug them, they may not be as cool about. You can have things like cories and things, but that can sometimes stress them because it's in their zone at the bottom there. So I would just be careful with the plecos and cories if you're trying to breed a good number of them or for profit. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's saying that they range anywhere from half an inch full grown to 4 inches full grown, with the males generally being larger by at least double the volume. Because large numbers of the species and the lack of recognized common names, it is important to make note of the scientific name when you buy these so that you don't mistake it. In many cases, just the number of dorsal rays or ventral, so they're, or not ventral, why can't I think of the word? Pelvic, so they're fins, the little lines you see in fish fins, the cartilage or bone there, the pin bones, the number that are in there can be what determines that it's a specific species. Also, some of these fish, just like the Nanochromis that we saw upstairs from Africa, some of them have 24 vertebrae and others have up to 27. So they've evolved differently with different length and bendability. So it's pretty cool that they've been able to do that. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, do you guys have any questions for me? And we're just gonna cruise through, looking at some pictures, and that's it. I'm getting worn out again, but just physically, just being sick has made it rough. But I figure we look at some of these, and you can just look at the name, and we'll just scroll through them. I mean, look at that fish. That is a gorgeous fish. I'm just curious how large this one gets. A lot of these you may never see somewhere in your local stores. But let's see here. They live in a pH of 5 to 7. So they're pretty small. The male only get 8 centimeters. So not, I mean, yeah, they're 2.5 inches. But a very pretty fish right there. Looks like a licorice gourami almost. Oh wait, we do have these locally. Never mind. Saturum. We just usually call them Curviceps saturum for some reason. All right, let's see here. So here we go. Here's like the German ram style fish, the Geophagus, micro Geophagus. Geophagus just means earth eater, earth shifter. Then we have like this. This is a very, to me, plain fish. I mean, it's a very, it could be in North America, it could be in the Arctic, could be in Europe, just like kind of a little bait fish. And there's a lot like that also. Now, the Apistogramma hongsloi, you'll see, or hongsloi is how you say it actually, because of the guy's name that it's named after. But you'll see that fish comes in many, many color forms. And here, this almost looks like my Nana Caras, oddly enough. Very, very similar. And it's an Apistogramma. So, I just think that some of them are really cool. Now, this is what they look like wild. These ones it's showing, this is almost like a checkerboard pink, purple, and blue one, which is epic. But imagine when they're bred like this. So this isn't a wild species. This is the Agassizii, which we talked about. You'll see it on like aquarium co-op or breeders channels, frequently, or pet stores. That usually not like, actually sometimes like Petco, PetSmart do carry them, but the Apistogramma double red or triple red or cockatoo or deluxe red, they have a lot of names. I mean, humans just make the name up at some point or another. Look at the dorsal rays on this guy. So it's easy to count those, I mean, with a picture. But it looks, if you don't look at the fins, this body style right there is so common with the gold eye and the lines like that. So as we've scrolled through this, we're only on 4. We're not going to go through all 30. You guys can go to the website. But I mean, look at some of the colors. These almost have like the red belly piranha look. This looks just like the Apisto Banshees did as babies. And the other thing that's cool is these fish have usually a 3-part transformation in life, or 4 actually. They have their larval or wiggler little sticky phase once they've hatched out of their egg phase, and then they have their free swimming pot belly, but they're kind of clear or silver phase, and then after that they've got a phase where they start getting lines generally going up and down, so horizontal or vertically, I'm sorry, And from there, over time, those lines either turn into dots like here, or sometimes the females keep the bars, but usually you'll start to see them get smaller, and then it turn into a line, and then you'll get some number of lines down the body. Um, but I mean, look at, here we go. Here's a different looking one. Definitely like a little checkerboard guy, and I'm just curious what the official temp. Yeah, okay. So these ones can go to 30. And the females are only going to be 1.5 inches max, 1.33 inches about. But yeah, they're social, diurnal, so up day and night. That's nice. And then the Rio Negro sure has a lot of these fish species. But yeah, let's see. So here is, that's exactly what the female looks like that I have right now. It was so hard to get her filmed for this live stream. So yeah, but that's what she looks like right now with the babies. She has a little more black on her, but pretty much like that. Now here's another Apistoborelli, just like the Hongslowii. They can come in so many color variations, but this one is just incredible. And there's a lot of the red Apistos too, that like the Vieta I've seen with the red, it almost looks like this. Or there's one that has like the Vieta 2, the Vieta 3, Vieta Super Red 3. You just get all these variations. And some of these guys, like there's the Hongslowii red instead of the yellow one, you remember? But look at the operculum, the gill flap on this buddy, the gill plate, and the crazy mohawk. He looks like the little kid from frickin' Road Warrior or Mad Max. Apistogramma similis, these are pretty. I like those, they're common. You'll see a lot of times that they have a number associated with them that's not necessarily the species so much as the collection point, and then it refers that they're all a part of the species. We don't have a good way to tell them apart verbally. So yeah, here's the Trifasciata. I love this one. Really pretty fish. Here we go. Here's the checkerboard. Pistogram. But doesn't this look like the Nanocara? So you start to really see an archetypal body type. And then out of the Apistos, there are about 4 or 5. Here's that Hongslowii again. Different. I mean, it's also a red variant, but a different style than before. So let's hop all the way to like 30. Look at the mouth on him. Crazy. Here's a nice looking one. So some of them do look very similar. See, these guys are all starting to look pretty similar. Similis. They're looking similis. Doppelfleck. But yeah, so I would, and these are another one I'd like to look at more, is these checkered dichrosis. They're really pretty, and I'd like to look into keeping more of those in the coming couple years. We'll look at one more page. Sorry guys, I've totally lost the track. VA has 2s. Alex, I have 3, but it seems like 1 pair and a tag-along male. Can I keep them together in a 29, or should I move the extra male? I would move the extra male just to see how it goes. If they haven't killed each other or anything yet, then they've established their role as dominant and submissive and everything, and it shouldn't be an issue until they decide to go at it as the older one gets more frail or the younger ones get stronger. So for looking at, I wouldn't worry about, but if you want to breed them, I would definitely keep it with the best of the one male. But look at how yellow this one is. Some of these are really new too. Um, let's see here. So there's a lot of this one, the Weebchen or Webchen. There's another one right there. Molar eye, that's another common one. And Trifasciata again. Some of these have very similar, the males. You can tell it's a male. Females have the pink belly in Cribensis and Pelvicochromis species, but in these they don't necessarily have a telltale giveaway like that for the species, for the gender. But this fin being long and sharp, as well as this fin having kind of this chiseled shape, I guess. I don't know what to call that shape. A diamond with the edges blunted, maybe. Yeah, clean my screen. Yeah, I know I need to clean it. Here's another Nanocara. And then, yeah, so I'll let you guys look through that. Mirgil posted the link. Yeah, it's a spade tail, I know. But it's not real spade tail in that it's like clipped off flat. And some are not at all, like these ones. And some are a true spade tail where it goes to a point. So, in any case, that is kind of the spiel and the lesson day overview on the lovely little micro, nano, or let's just say it, dwarf cichlids of South America. Central American cichlids, there are also. Live bearers, there are a whole lot more of. There's the goodieds and things like that fill in some of the same areas, flooded lakes and river outlets and things. And so I would say that, yes, they're there as well, but you get a lot of big cichlids that are mean in Central America, as well as any dwarf cichlid pairs okay for a 10-gallon aquarium bowl or cube. The cube is a little tough. If you did all sand at the bottom, and then you did another layer, like a terrace, and allowed that terrace layer to have sand too, then maybe you'd be cooking with gas. Maybe you'd be able to get something going there. But that's probably going to be just two fish. You're probably not going to be able to have a harem going successfully there. Hold on, let me put my laptop down. So yeah. But yeah, like in a tank like this is a 46. Yeah, embers I think would be fine. And Mickey, thank you. I know you're an expert with the apistos, so I appreciate you've got me beat by what, 30 years of keeping them or something. So I've only really been I kept rams. 20 years ago I had some rams, and I kept oh wow, she's got her ovipositor way out, and she's way colored up. But yeah, I kept cribs a lot as a teen, and about 20 years ago, but not the apistos really. They are kind of newer, honestly, to me. But see how the Cribensis or the Pelvicochromis poulture, they get all pink and bothered in the belly when the females are spawning, whereas the males, they've got that kind of spade tail that's snipped off, the chisel tail kind of thing, and they have that dorsal that comes to an acute point also. Hey, Kenny, we are just winding down, unfortunately. I am getting worn out again, but thank you guys for joining me. Thank you so much for all you knowledgeable folks in the chat, for lurkers in the chat, of course for you super chatters. And also, channel members, thank you so much. You guys are so helpful to the cause. You know, the $1.99 members, the $4.99 members, all of you. It's great. I'm gonna try to come up with some historical research content. Maybe 2 this month. Probably not 4 like normal videos. We'll probably be doing more informal videos, a little more like this, or updates on how the moving process is going and setting up a fish room, all that. And then hopefully my health stays okay, because right now I'm still pretty worn down. But mods, Rigel, Muppet, Dragon Lair, you know, you guys, thank you so much. And everybody have an excellent night. I hope you're doing well. Again, Mickey, I appreciate it. Just, yeah, you know, kind of correct me if I mess up. Not not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And if we're not learning, what's the point in what we're doing, right? You know? So, all right, you guys, have a great night. And maybe I'll see someone in chats later. But enjoy your Nano Cichlids. Bye, guys.